Let's talk about somebody else that I guess seemingly no one is talking about right now, and that is the man who finished in 4th last year, and that's Brandon Curry. Brandon Curry, we've seen some of his recent, posing videos. His coach Abdullah has been posting a lot, over the course of the last couple of weeks. Again, we talk about somebody who's been in the picture now, obviously winning the Olympia in 2019, runner-up 2 years in a row, and then finishing 4th. King Kamali, let's go to you first. Why are people not talking about Brandon Curry as a legitimate threat to win back the Olympia title?
Just because he's been quiet. That's it. He's just been quiet, and people start to forget about it unless you're making noise and you're putting up all these things on the internet and you're active on social media. He's just been quiet, but he's the sleeper. I've been saying this. I said this to Milos the other day. I said this to Chad. I've been saying this a lot. People can't sleep on this guy. And I will make a prediction right now. I'm going back watching the prejudging, last year's prejudging just a couple days ago. If Brandon is at 100%, he's better than Hadi. He was beating Hadi in a lot of those poses. I was looking at it. I was like, wait a second. Let me compare these poses. He's had better shape. He's got bigger arms. He's got a bigger back. It's just what Dave said. When he gets ultra conditioned, his legs start to shrink. And especially from the back shots, it just doesn't look right. But I think he's the sleeper. I really, really think Brandon's the sleeper. So we'll see.
Armon.
Well, everybody that's talking about the Olympia right now, no one says Brandon Curry. That's like what King said. Nobody's really talking about him that much. We see his, his posing in that door frame now. They got their favorite places they like to pose.
It's no longer the magic mirror; it's the magic doorway.
The magic door frame, right? Yeah. So, like his legs look really good now, but like as we all know, when he sucks down, they don't only get a little smaller, they just lose all the separation and everything. They just kind of fade completely and have no separation also. So it's not only just losing a little size on the legs, it just kind of like all goes to, they don't look good at all. But, that's been his problem every single year. He knows that. Everybody knows that. I'm sure, he's killing himself over there to fix that. But at his age now, is the legs, can they even improve? They look really good here. They look great there. He has a beautiful upper body. He has like Mr. Olympia upper body. But yeah, it's just, the legs thing, it's been the same every single year. And what can be done at that age to fix that?
We were talking to Dexter Jackson. It was the 2020, the second Olympia in Orlando, 2021 Olympia. And, we talked to him about the fact that, Brandon, of course, finishing second to Big Ramy in Big Ramy's second Mr. Olympia title. He had a more balanced look. Fair enough, his legs were never going to be the biggest on stage, but given his physique, given his symmetry, he has certainly balanced out that look. Dave, in your opinion, just given what we've seen out of Brandon Curry, right? I mean, really is the evolution over the last 7 years and then eventually topping out winning the Olympia in 2019. Obviously, look, progress pictures, progress videos are going to play tricks, and who knows what's actually going to show up on stage. But based on what you have seen of him over the last 3 years, what does he need to do to put himself in best position to dethrone Hadi Choopan?
It really is a miracle at how good he looks still at his age. He's got to be over 45, right? I would say, or close to it. And he's still improving. I mean, it's really hard to grow your legs when you're in your 40s. Okay. So I don't expect to see major size improvements from Brandon. What I expect to see is quality improvements, and just figuring out how to perfectly fill up his body, but not overfill it. Okay. Because when they overfill him, he doesn't look that good. That's what happened last year. And when they underfill him, he's too flat. So, and his legs look small. He looks like Armon said, in that video I put up, he looks amazing right there. If he can bring that look to the stage, he'd be really dangerous with that look, because his legs did not look small in that little video at all. And his upper body, look, I don't think there's anyone in the top 5 right now who has a prettier upper body than Brandon Curry. And I don't think anyone would argue with that. I think everyone would agree with that. It's just that his legs just don't match that. Right now they look pretty good. So I don't know what he's doing. I wouldn't change very much of what he's doing because he does look like he's ready to go almost now. And, you know, he's another guy who's you could forget about very easily. But if guys are off and no one shows up looking that great, he could win the show too. He's already proven that he has Mr. Olympia, the Mr. Olympia look, because he won the Olympia in 19.
Correct.
And he come in second to Big Ramy, controversially, you know, again. So some people think he should have had 2 Olympias. So he is definitely capable of winning the show. But there are guys that have more talent now that are kind of pushing ahead of him. But if those guys don't deliver, Brandon's could be right in there once again, you know, in the top group.
You know, earlier we were talking about Nick Walker. Nick Walker did a video, but he was interviewed by a fan at an expo. This is about a couple of months ago. Our good friend Xavier Wills did a full video breakdown of Nick Walker basically answering all these questions. And he had really sharp responses. Like, you know, the thing he said about Samson Data, back flat as a board. But one of the things that he did say was about Hunter Labrada. And that Hunter Labrada, he feels strongly that he's going to come back into the top 5, obviously finishing outside the top 5 last year, top 7, I believe. Armon, you and I both saw him at the Texas Pro this past year. And again, toe-to-toe with Andrew Jack, I mean, he certainly visibly brought his back up, brought us some of that detail, some of that size as well. You know, it seemed as if Andrew Jack was obviously way more conditioned, and the more rotation the judges put him through, Andrew just got stronger and stronger as prejudging went on. But again, you see some of the improvements that he has made. In your opinion, can he get back into the top 5 this year?
Hunter?
Yeah, Hunter.
Yeah. By the way, Sid emceed that show, and amazing. One of the best MC shows ever. And they loved him there. And Sid was just, no, it's not, you know, but I just wanted to say that because that was an amazing, you know, job you did, Sid, there. Hunter, I think he can. Texas, like I said, I looked pictures and video, but when you're sitting right there, he looked freaky. And then I was talking to Dexter Jackson the whole time, was sitting next to me, and then he was like, man, this is really close, until they started putting the poses. All the sweating stuff started happening again and just faded just like that. And you already knew who they were going to choose. It was funny because Dexter's like, who are all these guys? And I'm like, when's the last time you've been to nationals to watch? He goes, like, hey. I'm like, well, these are the guys that are winning nationals. He goes, bro, they don't even look like pros. I'm like, yeah. Well, he was talking about like the last, you know, 4 guys or something like that. But, you know, and, we had there, and then you had you know, Branch right next to me over here with you know, their group, and they kind of knew also. You could see it in their face when they put them through the comparisons, started sweating, faded right away. He fades really fast. At nationals, when he got his pro card, I was there. He was just sweating. So he has a problem. I'm not sure really what they're doing. Like I said, I think it's a coaching issue. I think he needs I'm not going to say the guy's not a real coach, but just someone that's going to not be a friend, but just like harder on him. And, you know, I think he'll do a lot better. I think he's wasting his time a little bit now with this because he has a lot of potential, and he looked really good. His triceps were just freaky. Sid saw it, his cross striations and his quads, which didn't come across pictures and videos like he did in person. I think if he nails it, top 4. I mean, 4th easily, maybe. I don't know.
Well, Armon, let me just ask you this. I mean, again, just based off what you saw the Texas Pro, could you argue that was his best look ever that we've seen to this point?
Yeah, best look ever. Yeah.
King, you know, when you consider, I guess, sort of a wake-up call that Hunter received last year, finishing 7th, and then you see him bounce back at what we saw at the Texas Pro, going toe-to-toe with an Andrew Jack. What would you like to see out of Hunter Labrada and the progression that we've seen, and what would you like to see out of him on the Olympia stage?
Consistency. Just like Mr. Palumbo said. He's the least consistent guy on stage right now. And he spills over. Constantly has a reputation of spilling over. I personally thought it had the liquid diet that he was on had a lot to do with that. And then from what I understand, he's changed that. He's eating solid foods now. And that's probably why it's making a little bit of a change in his physique. It's going to take a little bit of time. If he comes in more consistent and he dries out, he has a great chance of cracking the top 5.
Dave, your opinion, Hunter Labrada, again, based on obviously, you saw the look that he presented at the Texas Pro. Obviously, we talked about some of the foibles as far as, as prejudging went on, as the finals went on, and some of the issues as far as Andrew Jack being able to expose. But just physique-wise, what you saw, do you see him putting himself in a position for a top 5 spot?
Oh, he definitely has a top 5 physique. There's no doubt about that. I mean, he was 4th a couple of years ago. He didn't even deserve it. I mean, so they love they love his structure. They love what he brings. He's a really good poser. He knows how to present himself really well. I don't know if it might be a nerve issue. Some guys get really nervous up there, and when they do, they get this like crazy epinephrine release, adrenaline essentially from the adrenal glands, and they start spilling, and things start going wrong. When the adrenal glands contract, they release epinephrine, which is adrenaline essentially. They release cortisol. Okay, they release aldosterone. All these hormones make you hold water. Okay, or adjust where the water is going, and he's obviously getting some sort of an adrenal reaction. Maybe he's just excited about being up there. It could be nerves. I don't know. And I don't know if it's something that can be chemically, fixed. It might be more of a mental thing. He might, maybe he needs to have like a sports psychologist or do some meditation or learn how to control. You know how like you see these guys, they go inside that David Blaine, they go inside one of these boxes and they put him inside an ice cube for 3 days, and they're in this box and they can't move. The average person would lose their freaking mind after 10 minutes in that box. But these guys know how to mentally calm themselves down, slow their heart rate, and go into this Zen-like state. Maybe he needs to. I know it sounds crazy, but it might help him because he walks out on stage and he looks great. I don't believe he's exhausting all the food he ate because he probably ate 6,000 calories before he went out there. So it's got to be a nerves reaction. And you know what? There is a way to control that. And I think that's what he might need to work on. And I think that would give him more consistent, results on stage.
He should write a petition to the Manions to ask him if he can wear his baseball cap on stage. I guarantee you, if he could wear his baseball cap on stage and put it down like how he likes, he would probably calm down a little bit and do a lot better.
Maybe.
We love you, Hunter. We love you. We love Hunter. He's got the best lineage in the sport. I mean, come on, look at his dad.
I don't think drugs are going to help. I really don't. I think it's a brain thing, and I think that Leslie, Timble, who's our RXMuscle sports psychotherapist, and I do the show Iron Therapy, and I think that if more people hired, I'm not saying to hire her, but she understands bodybuilders. More people had someone like her to talk to on a regular basis, especially right before a show, and don't think it's crazy. King. That Victor Martinez used to talk to Pete Siegel, who was a hypnotherapist, and they used to do hypnotherapy sessions prior to him competing. And he said it definitely 100% helped him. And I interviewed Pete Siegel. May he rest in peace. He's not alive anymore. And he used to tell me that it really helped Victor. Victor believed. And, Victor looks like the kind of guy that wouldn't go buy into any of that crap. And he really was big on that. And so I think that would help Hunter a lot. I really do. I think,
Dave, I have experience with this, and I agree with you 1,000%.
Right,
Rob Lopez. I mean, in the 2 hours before the USA's, I'm looking at him in the room. I'm like, there's nobody can touch this guy. It's not. I don't think anybody can come close to you. I'm like Robbie, relax, kick your feet up, just go backstage and go to sleep. Look at some porn on your phone. I don't care what you do. You're there. And as soon as I start to pump him up, he starts to, I'm like, Robbie, calm the fuck down. And he gets on stage and he starts to spill over, Right. So you're right. It might be psychological. Maybe he does need that.
So we've talked about more or less who we think of top 6 that are going to be trying to squeeze in for the top 5. I did want to bring up just the overall competitor list, because we presented this on Monday when obviously everything was finalized, the 2 shows this past Sunday, barring any special invitations, which I don't foresee. This is your lineup right here. And a couple of people commented that aside from the top 6, top 7, the rest of the show, I mean, there really is not a lot of, like last year, I think you could have made the argument, and obviously Samson validated this claim. You had about 3 to 4 guys that could have jumped up into that top 6 that were slated around anywhere from 7 to 10, 7 to 11. And Samson doubted, obviously, jumping into the top 6. So you look at this lineup right now. I mean, we talked about, who came in last year into the top 10, and this year's top 10, or last year's top 10, rather, this year does not have Rami, obviously, Ian Valliere retiring, no William Bonac. So, I mean, essentially, we're talking about Hadi, Derek, Nick, Samson, Andrew, Brandon, all vying for that top 5. But I did want to, bring up some other names that, again, we are looking for the wild cards. We are looking for those that could pull off maybe the biggest surprise of the Olympia. Maybe one of those names is a Nathan Diasha. Nathan Diasha, maybe in, his best form really in years, winning 2 of the 3 shows that he competed at this year. And Dave Palumbo made the point. I'm blanking on the show that it was the first of the 2 shows that he won. And you and Chris Aceto were talking about on Heavy Muscle Radio, and you made the claim that he theoretically could be a threat for a top 5 spot. Armon, I'm going to go to you. You've seen Nathan, and obviously there's so many chapters of his career. Obviously, initially with the Oxygen Gym chapter, storming onto the scene at the New York Pro, eventually winning it a couple of years later. You see what he brought over the last 3 shows. Second one, close, lost to Regan Grimes. What can he bringing his best? What can he theoretically do at this Olympia, given the lineup?
I like his physique. I mean, his muscles, he's full, he's hard, he has that nice grainy muscle. It's just seeing him next to those other guys. He looks great by himself. I mean, I had him, winning both the shows, beating Regan easily. So I just got to, see how he looks in the mix. I mean, the last couple shows, he's looked really, really good. I think this is a Nathan that's been improving. But on the Olympia stage, next to these other guys, can he crack the top 5? I don't think so. But I don't know. But I like his physique. I just don't think it's a top 5 material with those other guys, like, unless some people come really off, which, who knows, this year, several people really could. Cause like, everybody's saying, so many people are inconsistent, how much has Andrew really done since the last show? Texas, at times he did look a little stringy, where, before we saw him, he was real full and big. His arms were, they all lost size when he got in that crispy shape. So, maybe 6th, but I just don't see him in the top 5, cracking the top 5.
King Kamali, what's your ceiling for Nathan Diasha?
Okay, I'm going to go a little step further than just Nathan. Okay, I think after the top guys that we just finished an hour discussing, there's a second group of guys that's going to come in. And my second group of guys after the top guys will be Brett Wilkin. Everybody's forgetting about him.
He's not competing.
Bro. He's out.
Okay, then he's out. All right, so then we got Behruz, which is a travesty.
Yeah.
Which is such a fucking travesty that a guy, a bodybuilder that great, and because of fucking politics, can't get out of Iran and make a stamp, and he qualified and he should be there. So to all the Iranian people out there, I'm with you, man. And my heart goes out to Behruz. Behruz, you should be at the Olympia. What should we call it? Regan, and a rematch within Regan and Nathan. That would be a second group. So the Regan, Nathan, and maybe even Crizzo, but I'm afraid his wheels are not going to be there. I keep seeing his upper body videos on YouTube, and people are freaking out, but this is bodybuilding. It's not an upper body contest. So that's my second call.
Dave, I did want to make a point about, I guess, that second group that King is referring. But let's finish up on Nathan. Obviously, you've been in his corner from the time that he turned pro. You've been very high on him. Obviously, this is sort of a second act of his career, but he, currently in maybe the best form that we've ever seen him in. Again, given the lineup, how high do you think he could potentially finish at this Olympia?
I think that Nathan really made his bodybuilding stand on all these shows he did. I think he knew he was not going to place top 5 at the Olympia. I don't know why, because I think he's got the tool set to do it. And I think he blew all his energy on these shows leading up there. He probably banked some good money along the way. And now he's just happy. The Olympia is almost like a consolation prize for him. He's had a lot of bad luck getting to the Olympia the last couple of years, unfortunately. And so this is going to be almost like a return of the king, so to speak. He's going to get to go back to the Olympia, get on that stage. I think he's more than capable of making the top 8. I think we will see him in the top 8.
Yes.
Will he break through to the top 5? You never know. I've never seen Nathan really terribly out of shape. He has a good structure. He's got a small waist. He's got a lot of bells and whistles. I said this when Chris and I did the wrap up of the show that he just did. I said I think he needs to work on his presentation a little bit more. It's a little amateurish, but he's got such freaky body parts that no one really cares. But on the Olympia stage, if he's more polished, and I think that's what he should work on these next 3 weeks, he can absolutely sneak into that top 5 if guys are a little off here or there. He doesn't really have any weaknesses. He's Nathan. You know what I mean? And like I said, he might be a little tired from dieting for the last couple months and nailing all those shows in Europe, even though, a lot of these guys are very well rested. So that's my fear with Nathan. But as far as guys that could really shock the lineup, I think the guy who's going to be the one guy that was mentioned, and that's Michael Krizo. I think Krizo is a freak factor. We haven't really seen him all year. He's, from the pictures I've seen him, he looks enormous. He might have a Nick Walker issue with a little bit of symmetry, but he's taller, and he's got probably the biggest upper body in the lineup. He's got good legs. He could be a shocker to people. He might come in there and do a lot better than people think. And no one's really even talking about him as a top 5 guy. And he absolutely could be a top 5 guy. And to me, he could be the dark horse in this lineup.
It's crazy because I feel like more people are talking about him last year as opposed to perhaps this year. But there is another intriguing first timer that we're going to be seeing on the Olympia stage. That's Justin Shire. I think Justin Shire, I don't want to say shocked because I think people recognize how good he was coming in his pro debut, winning at the Chicago Pro. That is one of the few names where I think you have that in his Olympia debut could really, really be a factor. King Kamali, what you saw again in the limited sample size, what impressed you the most out of Justin Shire, and could he be, a true wild card to come in and disrupt?
I think he's got that young pop.
Yeah.
Okay. He's got that pop and people are always interested in the new thing. What's the new thing coming up? And he will have that factor going for him. But you got to understand something, man. This is the fucking Mr. Olympia. Okay. This is the best of the best. These are the mutants of all the mutants, the top 1% of the 1%. So I think that if he gets a call out with the second tier group that we were just discussing, that will be a win for him. Definite win for him.
Armon, your opinion on Justin Shire making his Olympia debut?
He was talking on a show the other day, and he was just saying, basically, I'm just happy to be at the Olympia. I have no expectations of doing well, really, at all. Of course, I would love to, but, and then I think Brett Wilkins was on there too.
Yeah.
And this was before he got sick. And then he was saying, I think Brett's going to do, a lot better than me. I'm just happy to kind of be there. His front double is impressive. Somebody sent me like a lot of shots from the back of, I think, the last show he did, unfiltered, and his glutes and lower back were really not in shape at all. It had fat and stuff. I'm not trying to be so negative, but he needs to tighten up from behind. But he's a new guy, and he'll keep getting probably better. And I know he has his business he runs, and he sounds like a really smart guy that's got his shit together. So is he going to be one of these guys that's going to keep coming back, pushing his body to the max just to not really probably ever get to that top level? I'm not sure. I think he's not young. He's not super young. I believe he's like 30, mid-30s.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he's mid-30s. So, like I said, he looks great. His front double biceps impressive. He has really big arms, but besides that, I think he even just said he's just happy to be there. Which, I mean, that's most bodybuilders' dream, just to step on the stage in general.
You have some other, I guess, if I had to read out some of the other names that are either first or second time on the Olympia stage. I mean, you have Theo Laguerriere, who just qualified from France. We haven't mentioned Charles Griffin, who came in, I believe, 13th or 14th last year. Obviously, he's going to be in the mix for a top 10 spot. Roman Fritz, going to see him on the Olympia stage. Andrea Presti, Phil Clayhar, Ross Flanagan, Antonio Burton, the New York Pro champion. A lot of people excited about him and sort of the young Dexter-esque physique that he brings to the stage. Dave, who out of the I guess second group or some of the new acts that are going to be on the Olympia stage excites you the most?
Like I said, I think it's going to be Crizzo is really the guy I'm like pretty high on of the people of the guys that no one's really talking about. I think Crizzo is going to be the most impressive of all those guys. I think he'll probably be top 7. I think that Tonio Burton will be impressive on stage. People will say, wow, this guy's got a great future potential. He keeps improving. I think we're going to get a lot of guys that are being, just like Justin Shot. There's going to be guys who we're saying, you know what? They're not ready for the Olympia stage. It's great that they made it here. They need a couple more years to make the improvements necessary. I think Crizzo right now is like I said, he doesn't have the prettiest physique, but he is dangerous, and don't count him out. I would throw some money on him as a wild card in there for sure.
Let's talk about some of the I guess entertainment aspect, right? One thing that we've talked about for years now is a potential return of the challenge round and how the Olympia weekend, it could just add another element of excitement. And I know Dave, we spoke off air before the show, and he brought up the idea theoretically, and I want to pose this to you both, as far as having the challenge on perhaps as a staple of the press conference. Now, we see the press conference go from what it was in its original iteration, which was, you have everybody sitting, along the tables, along the rows, and moderators go person to person, ask questions, so on and so forth. The last couple of years has been more of a, bring them out in groups, different divisions, physique, wellness, so on and so forth. And obviously have the conversation very focused on that. And I know that the Olympians are always trying to evolve, that program. King, was that something that will get you excited if you were to see the challenge? And obviously there would have to be, money involved and, get excited, athletes excited about participating at it. But as a fan, would that excite you to see something like that at the press conference?
Sure. As a fan, anything crazy and off the wall stuff like that would be exciting. But I think they did a pretty good job changing the format of the press conference. It's been okay for the past couple of years. I haven't had a problem with it. But of course, you want to add some Palumbo-esque crazy shit in there? Why not? Let's do it.
Armon, is that something that would do you think that that's something that could stick, as far as again, you're going to have the athletes come and give their peace of mind as far as what their feelings going into the Olympia weekend. But if you were to add that thing, you think back to the Levrone Olympia, the Levrone comeback 2016, where out of nowhere Levrone just stands up, tears off his jumpsuit, he starts posing down. I think Josh Leonardo joins him, and all of a sudden you have this like free for all. I mean, that was freaking exciting. could you have? I'm just trying to think. Like again, obviously that was impromptu, but if you were to have a challenge round, do you think that would add that extra layer of excitement?
I didn't like the challenge round when they had it. I thought it was kind of silly, but you know, for entertainment, like posing wise, it's funny because I show people like, you know, I'll show people King's posing routine from the Olympia, whatever year was that. It was like almost 8-9 minutes long or whatever. And I'm like, this was the entertainment. It was fun to watch these guys pose. And you know, Dave with his guest posings and all that. And I made a comment the other day. The guy's name, British guy. He's with Gas. He guest posted a show and
Hollingshead.
Yeah, and
James
he had no
Hollingshead.
tan, and he just kind of stood there in the same spot the whole time, hit poses. And I was like, bro, can you at least put some color on and like put on a show? You're getting paid. And he got so upset, and he was like, well, who are you anyways? And Evan Centopani's never heard of you. I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with? I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? I'm like, what does that mean? And I said, I wasn't being rude. I'm just saying you're getting paid to guest pose. Like, why not throw on some color because you're already really, you know, pale, and, you know, give the person a show, which that has been lacking for years now. The posing routines, they hit a couple most musculars, they walk around. I hate when they do the arms like that. It's just really boring coming from, you know, when I was, you know, watching, you know, like King, which was one of my favorite bodybuilders when I got started. And it was exciting. It's now there's no who poses like even close to that. It's just kind of, I think they really need to start practicing on their routines better, and that makes it fun. And I think they're so tired, I guess, on the diet, and they've just gotten just so lazy. I don't know what it is, but you know, like I said, when I used to see, like, I show that clip, I've shown that clip to so many people, just little parts of it. I'm like, no, he does the routines like this. This is just one little clip of him doing, you know, his thing. They're like, yeah, that's incredible. It's the press conference.
I'm not bringing this up as like all right, let's discuss, okay, the finer points of the press. I'm just saying, like, again, it's another added layer. And it could be the challenge. It could also be guest posing. Right? And that's another thing that's been brought up as well. Like, we've talked about how, you know, you had the Levroni comeback, you had the Flex Wheeler comeback. But, you know, again, could guest posing or an exciting guy, could Kai Green come and electrify the Olympia stage in a guest posing capacity? And would you do that on the main night? You know what I mean? Something like, again, we're spitballing here. But Dave, I wanted to go to you because, again, this was your thinking. I wanted you to sort of have the stage, and what was your grand vision of this if you were to have the challenge run, and I guess specifically on the Thursday before Olympia weekend?
Yeah, you know, I like the concept of the challenge round, but it just seemed like it was like too much to have in addition to the fact that you're doing prejudging and finals. It's like too much. It was like it just added, like, it made the show last too long, and it wasn't. And the guys are tired. No one wanted to do it, but you know what? If you got a sponsor to put up $100,000 total prize money for the challenge round, and we did it at the press conference, okay, and you didn't have to do it if you didn't want to, you know, I don't care. I don't think the fans care if they see Hadi Chupin doing the challenge round, but I guarantee you Hadi Chupin for $100,000 is going to do the challenge round because he probably could win the challenge round. And you know what? Maybe change the rules up a little bit. Maybe have the judges decide who's going to, you know, what poses to hit. I don't know. I don't know how, what the logistics of it, but I think if we did some kind of challenge round at the press conference, okay, maybe in lieu of the press conference, okay, the fans would love it. The bodybuilders would have another avenue to potentially make more money. And I think you would sell the pay-per-views like crazy, because I think more people would rather watch that than conventional bodybuilding, and it wouldn't count really, so it doesn't matter. So if Mr. Hadi Chupin didn't win the challenge round, who cares? You know what I mean? He came in second. He took an extra $50,000 home. The real show starts tomorrow on Friday night. You know,
Dave, I think that would. I like your idea. It sounds exciting, but I would add a little twist to it.
What?
Have professional bodybuilders that are not competing be the judges. That would be
Nice.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
Nice.
yeah, I don't have a
Have
problem.
me, Dexter, and Jay sitting there and laughing and
Right,
pointing and joking
right.
and saying, "Yeah, you look fine. Shave your armpit." I mean, that's what. Then it will be interesting.
How about have like 3 judges on the panel, and then the 4th judge, the 4th, score, 25% of your score would be the voters at home. I don't know.
Audience, but yeah.
Yeah, I have a problem with voters at home because Hadi Chupan and Iranians will fucking they're just gonna win every time.
Or anyone,
even
or
if he
anyone
comes
from
in with
Brazil.
one leg amputated and fucking one arm like this, he's still gonna win. The Iranians are nuts.
All right,
man,
all right, so you're right. Let's keep the judges there. But I think it would be so exciting. It would really make bodybuilding a solid 3-day event in Mr. Olympia. And look, if you ever go to WrestleMania on like Thursday night has the Hall of Fame ceremony where they induct like Stone Cold Steve Austin or old time guys into the Hall of Fame, and it's almost more. Some people like it. I enjoyed it more than I actually enjoyed the real WrestleMania. It was Saturday night because it was exciting. So yeah, I think the press conference is the one thing that gets really, really reamed, and it's just because bodybuilders are tired. They don't want to talk. No one wants to talk. You talk too much smack, people say, oh, they get upset. It's like it has to flow naturally. And if you did a little challenging thing like this, I think it would be great because guys like freaks like Crizzo would do really well. Nick Walker, the fans want to see those front double bicep and crazy tricep poses and stuff like that. And I think if they configured it right, it would be worth it. And then if you want to be one of these guys that doesn't want to do it, then don't do it. You don't have to. But most guys, if you put up enough money, will do it. Plus, they know it's going to increase their popularity a lot. So, I don't know, something to think about. I just thought
it would be popularity. I mean, those are the viral moments.
Yeah,
those are the ones that make the rounds on the internet. Yeah, gentlemen, I'm going to go around the horn. So, I'm going to ask you for the biggest surprise that we're going to see this. Now, this could be your Olympia winner. This could be that someone's going to shock the world to win the Olympia that maybe we're not expecting to, but it could be anything else that, somebody that, literally we picked to finish 15th, finish top 9. The one biggest surprise this upcoming Olympia. Armon, you first.
Samson coming in on point and taking the whole thing.
Strong out of the gate. King Kamali, you.
Samson coming out strong and winning the whole thing. I'll repeat everything Armon just said. Exactly.
Dave Palumbo, what's going to be the biggest surprise of Olympia weekend?
It's always a tough one because you just don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to say seeing Andrew jacked and Samson Dowda battling it out, number 1 and 2 for the Olympia title.
We're going to hold off on your prediction for now, but that should suffice. So there you go.
Just think about it, Sid. Just think about it. The 3 of us mentioned the same fucking name.
Yeah.
That should say something to you, man. You kids out there, watch out. There's a storm. There's a big storm coming from England, man. Watch out.
On that note, that's going to do for this first episode of Iron Debate, our first Olympia preview episode of Iron Debate. Special thanks, King Kamali, Armon Adibi, and Dave Palumbo. We thank our sponsors over at MuscleTech for sponsoring our coverage of the 2023 Olympia. If you like what you're watching, hit the like button, comment below. As always, we appreciate all of your support. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. You're not going to miss this show or any other preview segments. And then, of course, in 3 weeks, we will be live in Orlando, wall-to-wall coverage of the 2023 Olympia, which will feature the return of Dave Palumbo live at the Olympia. For King Kamali, Armon Adibi, Dave Palumbo, I'm Sadiq Faruqi. Thank you for watching.